Want to see how we turn a shipping container into a multi-unit self-storage rentable unit? Watch this. So when we first started our business, essentially our first self-storage facility, fixed real estate self-storage facility that we had, when that facility would essentially become fully occupied, we would always use shipping containers at the perimeter of the property to deal with additional spillover of customers. It was a really fairly inexpensive, simple and straightforward way for us to be able to add units without having to actually construct an entire building. So we typically would start with either one 20-foot container or one 40-foot container. And then as we saw that the demand was increasing, we started to get a little bit more clever in terms of utilization of the containers themselves. And we started essentially modifying existing containers into purpose-built self-storage units. So this is a 40-foot high cube container. So it's 40 feet long, 8 feet wide, and 9'6" high. And so essentially what we do on this particular unit, we've chosen to do 4 individual units, but you can configure the interior any way that you want. So basically what we do is we have standard size doors. So these are 6 feet wide, 7 feet tall, creating 4 individual equal spaces. We use steel dividers on the inside to be able to separate one unit from the next, and use traditional self-storage doors to be able to simply pull down and lock in place as you would any traditional storage unit. So this is a considerably less expensive way of adding additional space to an existing facility, or a really easy and quick way to potentially utilize existing land or existing land at an additional property maybe that you already have in place. By using shipping containers, it allows us to avoid any type of foundation work that might be required for a traditional steel building. Literally just a flat level base, usually with gravel. So the most important thing is that it's hard, flat, and level, and the container can sit directly on top of this. Obviously, rental rates from one market to the next will vary a little bit, but if you do some research, identify what units of this size are renting for in your particular geographic location, it doesn't take long to be able to figure out that the repayment period on something like this is really, really aggressive. And from a maintenance standpoint, there's virtually nothing that needs to happen to this. So there's no moving parts, there's nothing that needs to be maintained to any degree. So literally you set this in place, or multiple units in place, start renting them, and essentially generate income on an indefinite period of time out of each individual unit. Very, very simple and straightforward units. Very effective, and customers love these. So with respect to the conversion process itself, this is the exact same type of process that we utilize with any of our other roll-up door modification jobs. So essentially what we're doing is we're cutting out the space along the side wall, framing it with our 2-inch frames that we build in-house. We have a drip ledge on the bottom that basically comes up to allow so that when the door is actually closed, you have a tight contact point at the bottom so that there's no access at the bottom to any kind of critters or rodents, and then the latch just slides across. And again, the interior can be configured in any way that you want. So depending on what the demand is in a given market, you could have 2 roll-up doors, 1 roll-up door. This is probably the most popular configuration, simply because 8x10 units tend to be one of the more popular sizes that people are looking for. But you could also have 2 roll-up doors, creating 2 8x20 spaces, which, using a 40-foot container to do that, is a much more economical and efficient way of creating that space, as opposed to actually buying 2 individual 20-foot containers. If you're in or want to be in the self-storage industry, contact Spaces Storage first to see how we can use shipping containers to help you expand or start your business.